All right. Thank you, Senator Britt. Questions from the committee on the amendment?
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, I missed the last part of what Senator Britt said. Preemption of laws around what?
Senator Britt recognized to address the question from Senator Grafstein.
Normally I don't talk about every detail in an amendment. I probably shouldn't have. Basically, this just creates uniformity in the. So right now, pet shops are licensed by the state. There's some cities and towns and counties that are trying to, legislate around what the state law says. This just says that since they're licensed by the state, their law is controlled by the state, and the cities and towns and counties are preempted from any laws related to those pet shops due to the fact that the state law controls with licensing.
Follow up.
Follow up. You recognized?
So if a city or town wanted to ban puppy mill pet shop situations, they could not do that if this passes?
They could ban a puppy mill pet shop because that's illegal under a different statute.
Follow up.
Follow up.
But if they had concerns about exploitation or animal welfare in a particular kind of pet shop, they would not be able to ban it under this?
They can't ban it. They can't do that now under existing state law.
Okay, so then what is follow up?
Follow up.
So if that's existing state law, what does the amendment do?
The amendment deals with ordinance and resolutions, not what you're talking about there.
Wow.
I'll talk to you offline about it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Other questions from the committee on the amendment? All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The bill is amended is back before us. Senator Moffitt, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this bill, expedited removal of unauthorized persons, is something that we've been working on for the last couple of years. We referred to it last year as the squatters bill. It's very comprehensive in its description of who an unauthorized occupant is, and it has a very good, very well-defined prescribed process that protects everyone involved when it comes to a expedited removal by law enforcement. It provides immunity to the law enforcement as well as the magistrate if the property owner or the unauthorized or the authorized agent representing the property owner conveys information that's not accurate, and a person who is entitled to be on the property is removed under false pretenses, and it also provides an opportunity for that person to take civil action against the removal. Stand ready to answer any questions.
Thank you, Senator Moffitt. I always appreciate your ability to explain it clearly and cogently and quickly. Lots of practice. Questions from the committee? I'm not seeing any questions from the committee. I have a motion. We don't have anybody from the public signed up to speak on this. Is there anybody in the public who wishes to speak on this bill? I'm not seeing any indicators, so we'll move on. We have a motion from Senator Britt. He moves for a favorable report to H96 as amended, rolled in a new PCS, unfavorable to the original, with a referral to Senate rules and with the ability of staff to make technical and conforming changes. Is that your motion, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Senator Moffitt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members.
Thank you. Moving on, are you ready, sir? Okay, well, we're going to go down to House 193, Firearm Law Revisions. And there is an amendment to the bill, but I want to give Representative McNeely an opportunity to address the bill and why there is such a bill, if he'd like to take a minute to do that. You're recognized, sir, before we adopt the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, committee. This bill come about because right now on private property, there's the inability to protect yourself if it's in a school setting. And we have quite a few in my district alone, but many across the state. And they vary in size. I have one at an AME church that has about 12 kids on average. So they're very small, but they're just as important as another private school I have that has close to 370 some students. So they're all across this whole state, and many of them don't have the financial capacity or ability to be able to bring a law enforcement officer in, a SRO, but they still need protection. And this bill will give them a chance, if they choose, this is optional. If they choose, they will have the ability to be able to protect themselves in case of something horrible should go wrong and there should be any kind of a threat to their school or to their students. And there's some other parts to this bill. I've only seen one side of the dog. I saw the other side of the dog this morning. They look very similar, so I don't mind walking the dog because I think they're the same dog with some of the other stuff in here. So I think it's a good bill as far as the part where the threat assessment is to elected and other officials that are non-elected. So I do like the bill. There will be an amendment coming that makes the dog whole from when I had it under my care in the House, since it's been over here in y'all's care in the Senate. So, and I think we all want a whole dog when this bill's done and not just a half of a dog. So I hope that you'll give me a green light on it and maybe we'll hear the amendment.
Thank you, Representative McNeely. For members' benefit to make it, but we're going to take the amendment in just a second. For your benefit, the amendment he's referring to that's coming from Senator Daniel is going to be familiar to you. Senator Daniel, recognized to send forth your amendment.
Yes, sir. This amendment is a dog that's entitled H193-ACE 98 version 3. Can I explain the amendment?
Yes, you're recognized to explain the amendment.
So this amendment, first of all, if you recall, this body passed Senate Bill 280, the Private School Security Act, that creates exceptions to the prohibition on carrying concealed weapons on educational property so that private schools could have concealed carry holders that act as security for their schools, assuming as long as they're trained and authorized by the school. The bill also has the amendment also incorporates House Bill 95, which was entitled Threaten Elected Officials and Increase the Punishment. What that section does is it clarifies in the statute that a public official would include, local elected officials, state elected officials, if threats or violence were done to those individuals, and it increases the penalty levels one class in each case. If it's use of a deadly weapon, it goes from an F to an E. If it's inflicting serious bodily injury, it goes from an E to a D, and so forth. So that's part of the amendment. It also does retain the part of the bill that, or the dog that Representative McNeely is interested in, which is the part that protects firing ranges that are used by law enforcement. Obviously, those need to be operated in daylight and nighttime hours to give proper training to our law enforcement. So the amendment retains that part of the bill. So I would ask the committee for its support.
All right. Thank you, Senator Daniel. Senator Galey, you had your light on. Do you want to address the amendment?
Not the amendment.
Okay. All right. I'll hold it then. Other comments or questions from the committee about the amendment? Representative McNeely, do you wish to comment on the amendment?
I hope you have a green vote for the amendment. I like it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Not seeing any questions or comments on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The bill as amended is back before us. Senator Galey, you're recognized.
I was just going to say it sounds like a hot dog to me, and so I would make a motion at the appropriate time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Chitlick, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a series of questions for the bill sponsor.
Yes, you're recognized for some questions. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I have a lot of empathy for the plight of our private schools, all of our schools, and what's happening with school safety. And I know we all want to figure out a solution to support them and to keep students and faculty safe. I'm concerned about some of the training requirements or lack thereof for folks who will have guns in our schools. So SROs receive over 800 hours of training. Can you help me understand how many hours of training volunteers would need to receive in this instance?
This is going to be a case-by-case person chosen. Some may have 800 hours. They may be a retired police officer. They may be retired military. There could be any individual. That school, that administration in that school on private grounds has to figure out who's going to be the most qualified person that they can obtain. I do not want to put them into a box that makes it unattainable for them to protect themselves and to have their Second Amendment rights taken away from them. This is on private property. So I think if you set up a time, I guess the question is, it kind of gets biblical. If you remember when Abraham argued with God about how many people would he keep from destroying Sodom and Gomorrah, and it got down if you had one, and it started out at more than many. So where is the question? What is enough or what is not enough? I don't know the answer, but whatever is comfortable with the administration and the students and parents of that school, that ought to be what is enough to call them qualified, in my opinion.
And Senator, I'll comment to help you out on your question. If you'll recall from Senate Bill 280, and if you'll look at the amendment under subsection D, you'll see that there's an annual training requirement that requires 8 hours of training. So
Thank you for
that
answering
answers your question.
That's very clear.
Do you have another question?
Yes, thank you. What does law enforcement think about this bill? Have they indicated that this is going to help them out and make their lives easier? Is there a formal position from the law enforcement community on this bill, or are there concerns that a teacher, for example, with a gun might be mistaken for an active shooter?
Basically, the Sheriff's Association has remained neutral on this to see how, I guess the old saying, this plays out. Will be interesting. As far as it being a teacher, if they're the most trained, qualified they have, and they wish to participate and the administration is good, they could. It could be the janitor. It could be somebody's grandfather. Like I said, once again, if we get this so specific, it'll never be obtainable for that particular school possibly. A lot of this has to do with the financial ability. And I know a lot of people say, well, they're going to a private school, so the funds should be unlimited, it's however much you want to pay. But that's not necessarily true. Some schools just don't have the ability to probably do what public can with SROs that are basically furnished to them by the county or by the city. It's not a level playing field.
Senator Chitlick, I'll just comment in running 280, I didn't experience any opposition from any law enforcement. I can't recall any specific endorsements or saying they support it, but I don't recall encountering any law enforcement opposition to it, to answer your question. Do you have another question?
I do.
Okay, you're recognized for another question.
I understand the constrained resources that many private schools face, and I know that we're all just trying to do the most that we can with the constrained resources that we have, which is why I'm interested in evidence-based solutions to these kind of challenges. Do you have comprehensive data that shows that interventions like this actually keep students and teachers safe?
I'll take that question for you because I want to keep it. We've already debated this with 280. And so we're kind of debating the same thing again, and we'll also be able to debate it on the floor again. Mm-hmm. A good example of what we're trying to address is the Nashville school shooting that occurred in Tennessee, where they didn't have any private security. That situation can happen here in North Carolina today if we don't address this. And you say we're looking for this is our solution. This is what we believe is the right way to go. Do you have another question?
I do. I actually wasn't, I was asking a question about the data and the evidence. I understand that we all want a solution, but I'm interested if you have data that I don't have that shows that this does actually protect our students, because the data that I have says that this leads to more accidents in schools and actually more injuries and more deaths.
Mr. Chairman, can I maybe address something?
You may address it. Yes, sir.
I guess my question is, do you feel like we need to take all the SROs out of the public schools that we have now?
I don't. SROs are markedly different than a grandfather with maybe 8 hours of training.
Can you name me one time where a grandfather would...
Representative McNeely, we respect the House. The chair controls the flow and the questioning.
Excuse me.
I can even rule her question out of order and move on. So she understands who's driving this train today. Okay, so Senator Chitlick, I don't want to have a debate with you on this subject. We're going to move this bill today. We're going to hear from the public. We've debated these points before. I'm interested offline to hear about your data that shows that we're not safe, because we don't have it, and so I don't mean we don't have the data. The data doesn't exist, is what I'm trying to say, because we don't have it. So you can't I'm real curious to see this data that you say you have that proves your case. But you know, I know from my own experience that the data doesn't exist. So, do you have a different question?
No.
Because otherwise, we're going to keep moving. We have a
Move on.
motion. Okay. Are there other members that have questions? Okay.
Not a question, just a comment, Mr. Chair.
Senator Grafstein, you're recognized for a comment.
Thank you so much. So my understanding, actually, that committee is actually where we are supposed to debate these issues, and while you may be satisfied that this issue is resolved, I don't think it is. So I just wanted to raise that here because I appreciate things got a little bit heated and a little bit wild there for a moment, but I think it would be a bad precedent to just say, you know, we talked about this once before, we're not going to talk about it again. This is the place we have the opportunity to weigh in, and that shouldn't be cut short. Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll go one more round. Okay. We do debate in this committee. We've already debated essentially this bill in this committee, and we have a motion before us, and we have a number of speakers that wish to address this bill, and we have other bills that we need to address today. So we're going to move on. So at this time, unless there are other members of the committee that have a question or comment, we're going to hear from the public. Are there any other questions or comments from the committee? Not seeing any. We have a number of folks that have signed up for this bill. I'm just going to go from the top. It looks like we have Reverend Mark Creech, and then I think Becky, I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, Becky Seratus. They're the two that I see that are signed up for this bill. So first we'll hear from Mark Creech. And you're recognized for 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Reverend Mark Creech. I'm Director of Government Relations for Return America. Evil walked through the doors of the Covenant School in Nashville, Tennessee last year, armed, deliberate, and deadly. 3 innocent children and 3 staff members were slaughtered in moments. It wasn't just a tragedy. I suggest to you it was a wake-up call, a flashing red light reminding us that evil doesn't knock at the door. It storms in armed and ready to kill. And the question we must ask is who will be there to stop it? Under current law in North Carolina, even well-trained, licensed individuals, veterans, off-duty officers, or responsible parents cannot carry a concealed handgun on private or Christian school campuses, even with the school's written permission. These schools, many of them operating on shoestring budgets, are being denied the right to protect their students in the way they need. House Bill 193 changes that. It doesn't impose a mandate. It doesn't force firearms onto campuses. It simply gives private K-12 schools the freedom, with written permission, no signage prohibiting it, to make that decision for themselves. Opponents will say we don't want more guns in the schools, but the truth is the guns are already coming, carried by those who intend harm. And the question is whether someone good, courageous, and trained will be there to meet them. We protect our money, our politicians, our courtrooms with firearms. Why would we not allow private schools or Christian schools to protect what is most precious, our children? You have an opportunity today to do more than pass a bill through committee. You can give school leaders a fighting chance because evil is real. I ask you not to tie the hands of those willing to stand between that evil and the innocent. Return America urges you to pass House Bill 193.
Thank you, sir. And Becky, I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, Seratus?
That's great. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you very much for allowing me this opportunity to address House Bill 193. My name again is Becky Kirchdas. I'm the Executive Director of North Carolinians Against Gun Violence. We strongly oppose House Bill 193 because it creates a serious safety risk for our students and teachers that far outweigh any supposed benefit. House Bill 193 would allow anyone with a concealed carry weapons permit with written permission from a private school owner to carry concealed at a private school. This could be a teacher, staff, volunteer, janitor who may have only received 8 hours of training. to get a concealed carry weapons permit. And if permitless carry becomes law, Senate Bill 50, it would mean that there would be no background check, no training. Somebody could be at least 18 years old, and they could go into a private school if they have written permission. The thought of a teacher who is working with and caring for students to transform into a law enforcement officer when an emergency arises boggles my mind. And how would a law enforcement officer know whom to trust during an active shooter situation if multiple individuals have weapons drawn? As we've seen from experience, the most likely result of this legislation is not a teacher stopping an active shooter, but instead a teacher negligently leaving a gun where a student can find it, or improperly using or threatening to use a gun in a disciplinary situation or where deadly force is not proper. We saw after you passed a bill that would allow guns at religious places of worship with associated schools. A religious school staff member, a legally carrying concealed carry weapons permit holder, left the gun in a bathroom. A child found the gun. More guns in our private schools is going to be more children may find guns and then possibly handle a gun. Guns in schools present a threat and not a benefit for our children. I urge you to vote no on House Bill 193. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Thank you from the public. So we do have a motion before us. Any further comment from the committee? I'm not seeing any. Senator Galey moves for a favorable report to H-193 as amended, rolled in a new PCS, unfavorable to the original bill, with a referral to, I believe, rules. Yes, and I'll add to that staff to make technical and conforming changes. Is that your motion, ma'am? Yes, sir. All right, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The ayes have it. The bill as amended is adopted. And we thank you, sir. Thank you, representatives. Good to see you here.
Good to see you. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee. Sorry for my passion. I get carried away.
Understood.